Amid the ongoing global trade war, New Delhi's message to the White House is loud and clear. India will never negotiate at gunpoint. While the Narendra Modi government seeks a mutually beneficial trade deal with the US as equal partners, India will never be pushed into a corner. Faced with 145% tariffs, China is struggling to find new markets for $500 billion worth of yearly exports to the United States. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking for the world, including India, as President Trump has paused reciprocal tariffs for a period of 90 days. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal stated, quote, "I have said it many times before that we do not negotiate at gunpoint. Time restrictions are good as they encourage us to talk swiftly, but until we are able to protect the interests of the country and people, it is never good to be hasty," unquote. However, signs are encouraging. Recent data suggests India could emerge as the big winner of the US-China trade war. Bharat's exports have hit an all-time record high of $820 billion even amid such global economic uncertainty, as well as wars in Europe and West Asia. New Delhi's next move is to protect its markets from Chinese dumping as CCP races to find new markets and prevent an economic catastrophe. The Narendra Modi government, meanwhile, is in the midst of intense negotiations with America with an aim to take bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030, up from the current $129 billion yearly. In a show of India's growing importance on the global stage now, Donald Trump is now sending his second-in-command. US Vice President J.D. Vance will be visiting India later this month for key discussions with Modi and senior Indian ministers. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar highlighted, quote, "We are certainly geared up for a very high degree of urgency. We see a window and want to act fast. So, our trade deals are really challenging," unquote. China is now racing against time to find new markets for $500 billion worth of yearly exports to the United States. Else, the CCP would have to accept defeat in this trade war and negotiate on conditions set by the White House. As they say, consumer is king, and the US is the world's largest consumer, putting China naturally on the back foot. Jaishankar explained how the CCP's next moves will impact global supply chains, adding, quote, "China's decisions are just as consequential as those of the United States when it comes to the global marketplace," unquote. As Trump shuts the door on China, the big threat is China dumping large quantities of goods in global markets, including India, which could have adverse effects on domestic manufacturing and markets. A senior government official was quoted in Money Control, stating, quote, "The government will be taking measures available in our legal framework, both direct and indirect steps, to curb any dumping of products from nations facing steep tariffs from the United States will be taken," unquote. Even amid such global challenges, India continues to rise, with yearly exports now surging to a record $820 billion in 2024-25, a 6% increase from just the previous financial year, when the figure stood at $778 billion. Despite roadblocks like the Red Sea crisis, the Israel-Hamas conflict, and the Russia-Ukraine war, the ministers highlighted how India's exports achieved milestones even as other economies witnessed slower growth. So what's driving Bharat's growth? Long hailed for its IT and services sector as well as the world's pharmacy, India now is quickly emerging as a powerhouse in the global electronics supply chain. India's mobile phone exports witnessed a breakthrough, reaching an unprecedented peak of 2 lakh crore rupees in the financial year 2024-25, making smartphones the largest export commodity. Now, this marks an unbelievable 55% rise in just 1 year, thanks to the Indian government's PLI schemes aimed at making smartphone exports a strategic inflection point. This places India among global leaders in electronics production and innovation, The target now is achieving $500 billion in electronics manufacturing and exports as soon as 2030. India Cellular and Electronics Association Chairman Pankaj Mohindru stated, "Smartphones becoming India's top export commodity reflects the growing strength, maturity and global integration of our electronics sector." Unquote. Global tech giants like Apple and Samsung have significantly enhanced their manufacturing operations in India in just the past year. In fact, Apple now imports a fifth of all iPhones for the US from India. As a result, India's overall mobile phone production reached an estimated 5.2 lakh crore in FY25, up from 4.2 lakh crore in the previous year. Trump tariffs on China could further open new avenues for India and make Bharat an attractive destination for global manufacturers. Offering short-term relief to global tech giants like Apple and Nvidia, the Trump administration on the 11th of April exempted this sector from newly imposed reciprocal tariffs. But China still faces 20% tariffs on smartphones and laptops, whereas similar imports from India will face zero tariffs in America. So will this see more foreign investment in countries like India and Vietnam? ICEA chairman elaborated further, quote, "India and Vietnam are similarly placed on these products as both enjoy a 20% tariff advantage over China," unquote. It must be noted, India's rise continues despite Chinese attempts to torpedo manufacturing in India. Just a couple of months ago, the CCP banned exports of manufacturing tech and equipment to New Delhi. Yet, India not only managed to bypass this issue but has now registered record smartphone exports. Piyush Goyal explained why India would prefer trading with the West rather than China. He stated, quote, "Even when it was open for Chinese firms to invest in India, not too much Chinese investment has come, nor are we encouraging any significant investment coming in from China at all at the moment." He added, "Our efforts is to integrate our economy with the developed world who believe in fair play, who believe in honest business practices, and where we get an equal opportunity to do business and invest," unquote. So can India challenge China as the world's factory? The trade war offers a huge opportunity for India by transforming it into a favorable manufacturing hub. India remains as a favorite to be on the forefront of the global value chain shifting away from China. Given a domestic consumption-driven economy and reforms momentum, India is appealing to investors for its relative immunity to global risks. India's growing customer base, skilled labor pool, and advantageous commercial incentives are some of the factors which make it an attractive and favorable destination, despite certain challenges in the ease of doing business in the country. India's manufacturing sector's contribution to the gross value added is expected to rise from the current 14% at $459 billion to 21% at $1,557 billion as soon as 2032. India's rise as a global manufacturing hub is well underway. In such a scenario, the visit by US Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha Vance gains even more significance. The current trade negotiations are part of Mission 500, which aims to increase bilateral trade between the world's two largest democracies to $500 billion by 2030, an agreement reached between US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi in February. China has long violated India's sovereignty through projects like the CPEC, which pass through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which is legally Indian territory. Given CCP's recent attempts to torpedo electronics manufacturing in India, should India and the United States unite to forge an unbeatable trade alliance? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.